We begin our Saturday night soiree with an eclectic feel because at 8 o'clock on Doves for Peace we did the conclusion of the life of Francis of Assisi and the relevance of Franciscan spirituality in the modern world today, and looking at Francis as being the epitome of interfaith. Even his sisters, the Poor Clares, they embrace all faiths. Though they're all committed, devout Catholic Christian women, enclosed in their monastery, but their heart is so all-embracing. And that surely must be good for brothers and sisters who join us, who are not of the Christian faith. Let us begin by lighting a candle in recognition of all the great spiritual teachers who embraced interfaith. And if you have a candle nearby, I would really love you to light your candle with mine so that together we are igniting a spark of love for the universe. In the name of our beloved Father, Mother, God Supreme, who creates life, and in the name of the risen cosmic Christ, who loves life, in the name of the Spirit, who is the fire of life, in the name of all faith traditions, for they are the children of the same God, our brothers and our sisters, members of the mystical body, the mystical heart of God, and in the name of Gaia, who nurtures the divine in all life, and in the name of spiritual diversity, on behalf of my brothers and sisters in the Teo community of interfaith Franciscans, I welcome you, and I am pleased that you're here with us. So let us just reflect for a moment, come into our heart, our teacher, and as we listen to the beautiful chant by Tom Kenyon, the song to Brother Sun and Sister Moon, the Canticle of the Creatures, written by Francis of Assisi. Let us just listen to the chant, and let us each call on the God we love, Allah, Yahweh, Jehovah, God, Creator Supreme, and invite the energies of the divine to come into our hearts, into our space, and touch us. Breathe on me, breath of God. Fill me with life in you, that I may love what thou dost love, and do what thou wouldst do. from my heart, I want to share something with you. Doing the vigil for Gaia at 8 o'clock earlier on, I was touched quite profoundly in my heart by some of the beautiful readings that I read from a very, very old book that was sent to me it was given to me about 10 years ago by my own spiritual director, Sister Agatha at Timamdu, the Poor Clare enclosed Collatines in North Wales. And the book are all the original prayers of Francis. But in the synopsis of his life, a few words really got me. And I was guided to read them again. For someone here tonight who's watching, for someone who's joined us, because it may speak to their heart, as it's singing to my heart. Francis is first and foremost a man of prayer. He shows from his prayers and meditations how actions and attitudes radiate through your life. And life radiates through prayer, whether that prayer is a Hindu, Sikh, Judaic, Islamic or Christian, even Buddhist. He teaches that what is within our hearts clearly reflects in our lives, and that the depth of our inner perception controls our deeds and our actions. What is that saying to you? What are you feeling in your heart? It also says his own life radiated humility, love and joy. The poverty which he valued so much may be seen as the outcome of his reverence for the integrity of creation. Is that true today with the opulence and materialism? Would that not be in contradiction to that respect and dignity afforded to the universe and earth, where mankind has created a new God? Wealth, power, greed, selfishness, deceitfulness? Worth thinking about. As God does not manipulate the universe from outside to accomplish his will, but works from within. From within. Francis was obedient to God and refused to possess, exploit or manage the world to suit his own wishes. By possessing no personal and no material goods, he demonstrated a freedom from self-desire and achieved true humility. G.K. Chesterton wrote that no pope or beggar, sultan or robber could look into the eyes of St. Francis without feeling that the saint had a real interest in him and in his inner life. Millions of Christians and non-Christians still feel this as they read his story. What is that story? It is a story about love, falling in love with the divine, being willing to step out of your comfort zone against a backdrop of rejection, even hostility, even at worst, annihilation. Several weeks I've been having what I can only share with you as a dark night of the soul experience. I guess it's part of my own journey, where I've been questioning, did Francis really ask me to step out in faith and embrace all faiths, and then establish a lay monastic community of men and women from different faith traditions to come together and sing the praises of one God? I have questioned that over and over to the point of almost despair. And I guess on a human level, I have felt the loneliness of the spiritual paths, and I share not looking for self-pity, but in trying to discern always God's will for my life and for our beloved community. And it kept coming to me from my grandmother, who taught me so wisely as a young boy in Dublin. She said, "Son," she said, "the family who pray together stay together. And when you and I can come together in love and embrace one another in love, we are praying together. We are nurturing something that is only of God. It can only be of God." But I assure you, I still persevere with that vision that was given to my heart at the tomb of Francis. But the journey has not been an easy one, as your journey is not easy, especially when you try to enlist the help and support of your friends within the church that you love, your own religious community. There's a sense of, oh no, no. And it hurts because it's as if they're saying no to a God of love. There's an unwillingness to take a leap of faith. And I guess the reason why there is so much division, not only within the Christian family, but within the Buddhist, the Sikh, the Hindu, the Islamic traditions, the Judaic traditions, is because no one is willing to trust their heart. The heart is their teacher. My heart is my teacher. I know that now. I never did. I never trusted my heart because I was trained as a nurse. And nurses obviously have to be pragmatic and evaluate signs and symptoms of a condition. They need factual evidence in order to base their theory and their plan of action of nursing care. But we also had a gut feeling which sometimes management manipulated at the expense of destroying the integrity of the practitioner. And that's what's happened in religion today. In all the faiths, clericalism, that rigidness to the letter of the law, has somehow stifled the Spirit of God, the Spirit of Allah, Jehovah, Yahweh, the Supreme. And we each need to question the validity of our belief. And I'm pleased that I was able to endure those dark nights of the soul recently, where I almost wanted to say, God, I can't do this. I'm struggling on my own here. And it wasn't that I was selfish, it was because there are times when you knock on the door and so many doors close in your face. It was like being a salesman for God. Nobody wanted to know. It's like trying to raise awareness on Heart to Soul Prayer Partners for Peace, where you invite people to come and share. Not many people want to share, maybe because they're not strong enough. But if God gives us the strength, and if it is God's will, we do it. Because we're not doing it for self, we're doing it for God. But enough about that. So even last night at the midnight soiree, I was thinking, dear Lord, is it really worth it? Sitting here, trying to listen and discern your will. Wouldn't I be far better off in bed, like everybody else? And this morning I opened my emails, and one of our viewers who doesn't log in is Anastasia, and her email brought a tear to my eye. Yes, it did, because in that email she said that St. Francis is watching and listening and is with us. And that's all I needed to hear. That Francis, who gave the vision to you and to me, to all of us, that he's with us, that he's listening, he's watching, he's supporting, he's nurturing. Let us come to our heart. Let us be brave. Let us be strong. Let us take our power back from our weakness, our illness. Let us take our power back from well-meaning, fair-weather friends. And let us truly, truly, truly listen to the divine who is speaking to us. Let's have the courage to act on what we are given and not test the water. That's ego. The reading for today, the reflection from this lovely little book from Iona called A Still Small Voice, said, a person can feel discouraged taking on institutional structures and systems alone. I endorse that, because since 2008, in shouldering the vision for Francis, I endorse that. An individual does not feel able to make a huge impact on our institutional organizations such as religion, the church. Yes, as Jesus says, the kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed that someone took and sowed in his field. It is the smallest of all seeds, but when it has grown, it is the greatest of the shrubs and becomes a tree, so that the birds of the air come and make nests in its branches. We can start taking notice and voicing our analysis of the structures of our world. What a wonderful sense of camaraderie and encouragement there is when we meet with people who share the same concerns as we do. What joy to meet and share with people whom we seek to support. In the silence you spoke to me, God, of wordless peace, of depth and calm, God of the silence, I am silent with you. I am silent with you. I am silent in your presence. Let us sit for a moment in the silence of God's presence. And let us have the courage to reclaim our dignity as a child of God. I know my dignity was taken from me as a very young child when I was raped and abused by my own father. And though painful as that was, and then again in the monastery, oh yes, I always carried a great guilt that it was something I did that was wrong. And I realize now as an older man, it wasn't me. It was evil trying to destroy me. And the forces of evil are very real. I've seen it in our community from the moment we began. Oh yes, and how the evil one can come in and manipulate one's own pattern of thinking. I've seen it in the church. I've seen it in Buddhism. I've seen it in between the Shiite and the Sunni Muslim, between the Orthodox and non-Orthodox Jews, and my heart breaks. Why are we so vulnerable? Why don't we stop and listen to our heart, where the divine already lives? Why do we allow ourselves become puppets of other people's pleasure? Why can't we just become an army of love and make an effort to walk alongside a brother and sister who's hurting, as you and I are doing for me, and I for you and you for me? It is so comforting to know that when you and I come together, God is present. I know that. Allah is present. Jehovah is present. Let's close our eyes and let us use the greatest gift that God has given to you and me, the gift of free will. Let us ask our Father, Mother God to come back into our heart, to show us the journey, to show us the path we should be on, but also to send us the help, the warriors who will work with us and fight for us when we're battle weary, who'll be like the birds, the flock of birds. You always see them fly in the shape of a V, and when the one at the front gets tired, another one comes in and takes over. That's how a community, a spiritual community, should be. We come together to nurture one another. We come together to embrace the majesty, the omnipotence, the omnipresent God who's living in our heart. For we are temples of God. The I Am presence is already living within us the moment we surrender our hearts, our fears, our illnesses, our sadness and despair for the world. Let us release it now. Let us release it. And those whom we love who are ill, those whom we love who are hurting, those within our community who are so locked in their own mindset of poor me, we pray that God will cut the chains and set them free, so that they see their journey, their story, their pain, their suffering, not as a punishment, but that out of the tragedy comes many blessings. I know that from my own journey. My mental health breakdown was my breakthrough. Yes, it was. In a way, I wished it had happened in my 30s, not in my late 40s, because the journey of being totally free to serve God is like winning the lottery. It's like everything is being taken care of. Everything. Let us now ask our Father, Mother, God Supreme to come into our lives and give us the courage, the vision, the love, the detachment from self-ego world drama and become true emissaries of light, true ambassadors of peace. Let us listen to these beautiful words. Enjoy these words, my gift to your heart.
I, the Lord of sea and sky, I have heard my people cry, all who dwell in dark and sin, my hand will save. I who made the stars of night, I will make their darkness bright. Who will bear my light to them? Whom shall I send? Here I am, Lord. This is I, Lord. I have heard you calling in the night. I will go, Lord, if you lead me. I will hold your people in my heart. I, the Lord of wind and flame, I will tend the poor and lame. I will set a feast for them. My hand will save. Finest bread I will provide, till their hearts be satisfied. I will give my life to them. Whom shall I send? Here I am, Lord. This is I, Lord. I have heard you calling in the night. I will go, Lord, if you lead me. I will walk